Hey guys, Ricky Wysocki here, and I'm gonna share my top 5 putting tips with you guys. Let's get into it. So for some of the tips, I'll kind of walk you through what I do and then how I apply them to my putt. So the first one is gonna be probably the most important one, and that's just kind of getting your base, getting your athletic position, and kind of just getting your stance. So we'll just go with step 1, part 1 is stance. So I like to kind of like turn a little bit away from the basket, kind of just like offset my front foot a little bit. I don't wanna do this, but I just a little bit offset, and this back foot's a little offset also, more than the front foot. And what that does is that allows me to kind of turn my hips a little bit, because then I can get more arm swing, which allows me to get more momentum coming towards the basket. So if you start off your stance real shallow, real close together, if you notice my arm can't really swing that far. Even if you're doing a spin putt, it doesn't really matter what style of putt you have, you can really benefit from actually getting a wider stance. And that also allows you to get more weight shift. So it's two things. Allows you to get more momentum with your arm, but then also more momentum with your weight shift coming forward for the longer putts to get the extra leverage. All right, so now to tip 2, that's gonna be the weight shift and kind of the transfer towards the basket. So for me, I like to get my weight back, keep it back, and then I'm always, if you notice when I finish on a putt, I'm almost always finishing on my tippy toes. So I go from kind of almost the weight on my heels, like this, and my front foot sometimes for the longer putts is even up in the air. Because then what that causes me to do is to come back forward, and then in order for me to shift my weight, I gotta do that. So now I'll kind of show you a couple putts and how you can use your weight shift to get power, because that's the most important thing when you're using a push putt to get power when you're going to 30, 40, 50 feet, is using your legs. So this putt is gonna look funky, but I'm just gonna show you, for example, how to push your weight. So I'm not even gonna use my arm at all. I'm just gonna come back and forward. If you notice, I never really extended my arm. All I did was back and then pop. I just popped with my legs. That's all I did. You get the leverage of your legs, and that kind of just allows your putter to kind of flow towards the basket. All right, let's go into tip 3. So tip 3 is gonna be your arm swing and your arm plane. So I like to give people tips that apply to whether you're a push putter or a spin putter. No matter what your style is, I think this tip will help you. So for me, I come down and I'm really focused not on my downswing as much as when you come forward. That's the most important part of the putt, is how you come forward. And why I say that is because when you're extending your arm, it's not like a drive where you're gonna wanna follow through with your arm. It's more of you wanna follow through and stop at the spot on the basket where you wanna putt it. So I see a lot of people sometimes like follow through and their arms like over here. You always hear people, hey, it sounds cliche, like shake hands with the basket. But the reason for that is because that gives your arm plane, it kind of guides your wrist, which I'll talk about in the next tip. But really just coming down and here, and then you notice my arm's here, and then my wrist engages, and I'll talk about the wrist in the next tip. All right, now let's go into tip 4, and that is wrist and how it engages in the putt. So got the stance, got the bend in the knees, gonna focus on the arm swing, and now when it gets to the part in the putt where you need to use your wrist, it's more for me, and I think most people, is you wanna engage your wrist, but you don't wanna over-engage it and do that, because then that causes you to follow through to the right or too early if you don't engage it enough. So when your arm comes forward, your arm kind of gives it the line, and your wrist and fingers kind of give it the spin. That's how I think of a putt. So when I'm coming down, arm is the pendulum kind of going towards the basket, and as soon as I go towards the basket, I rely on my fingers and my wrist to get the spin on the disc. So think about it as arm gives you the line, fingers and wrist give you the spin. Now tip 5, and that's gonna be aiming point. So I'm dialed in, I'm locked in on that chain link. I don't care if there's dogs going by, I don't care if there's people doing jumping jacks. My one goal is to stare at that chain link and let my muscle memory take over from there. So staring at that link the entire way, back, forward, hit that link. And for me, the most important thing with a putt is to stare at that spot. And for me, when I'm just this close, there's not much movement, there's not much wind, I'm staring at the middle link. But if there's a crosswind or something, I may be staring at the right links because I want it to start at the right link of the basket, and then the crosswind's gonna take it to the middle. So that's a big common mistake I see with people when there's headwinds, tailwinds, is they aim in the same spot, and then by the time their 30-foot putt gets there, the wind carries it if it's a headwind, or drops it if it's a tailwind, and you hit the basket. If I'm aiming here and there's a 20-mile-an-hour tailwind and I'm 30 feet away, you're gonna hit low. But if my aiming point's here and I got a tailwind, my putter's now gonna come into the middle of the basket where I want it. So that's super important, is play what you know the wind's gonna do to your putter, and don't just aim for the middle for every wind. Hey guys, thanks for watching my 5 putting tips. Hope you learned something. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more content to come. And a bonus tip, grab some daggers. It'll do you some good.